A little while ago, I was introduced to Collapse, a Russian game that looked somewhat promising. I decided to buy it when it went on sale for something less than $5, and at first, it seemed worth the price. However, the more I played it, the less fun it became. And I'm here this week to tell you all about it. The game starts with a bunch of people in some sort of meeting, talking about the death of some Iron Lord. Keep in mind that I only learned this from the subtitles, because all spoken dialogue is in Russian. This Iron Lord has a bunch of keys, and now they're scattered all around. The men start arguing amongst themselves, the hero, Rodan, shows up, and an explosion occurs. Rodan sets out to find out who was trying to kill them, and he's eventually told that he needs to find these keys, for whatever reason. Truth be told, I found it difficult to follow the plot. I can normally get by with closed captioning, but the text is unusually small. And even the optional in-game conversations that you can activate are all in Russian. When you stop those conversations, a recap comes up in English, but it's all in a huge block of text, and I couldn't really be bothered to read and comprehend it all. Who knows, maybe the story does get more interesting, but I wasn't able to get too far into the game. It's because the difficulty just feels way too imbalanced. There's several reasons for this, which I'm about to discuss. First off, let me say that the game is your standard third-person action game. You have the ability to carry up to 3 weapons. You will always, almost always, have a melee weapon, a pistol, or a machine gun in slot 2, and a second firearm in slot 3, usually a rifle or shotgun. Now, here's the key thing. Your encounters with enemies typically consist of melee fighters or gunners. Your sword can do heavy damage to gun-carrying soldiers, but don't bother trying to shoot the guys wielding katanas. They are bullet sponges, and take way too many shots put down. I shot one of them in the frickin' face, and that guy just kept coming at me like it was just a mosquito bite. What the fuck? That's not right. I understand that you may want to limit the damage bullets do to melee fighters to balance the game, but that just doesn't seem to be the proper way of doing it. I can understand the close combat soldiers taking more damage because, I don't know, maybe they're wearing more armor. But still, you can't carry an infinite amount of ammo. So if you waste all of your ammo fighting melee guys and don't have any left for a true gunfight, then that would be on your own damn fault. But this system is bullshit. Any enemy that shouldn't take 2 or more sniper rifle shots to the face, 200 bullets to the body, etc. It just doesn't feel normal. That's not even to mention that if the enemy is in hugging range, bullets may not even strike them. There were a few times I was fighting these mutated creatures, they were up close, and my bullets weren't even touching them. I'm assuming it's because the way the game was designed, there's a small space between the weapon barrel and where the bullets actually appear from, and this enemy was standing in that space. But still, this is a huge thing that should have been fixed before release. And then we come across a strange projection of the shotgun pellets. When firing a shotgun, the pellets don't fly straight ahead, like any normal weapon. Instead, they arc upwards slightly. I thought this was a visual hiccup, since you can see the tracers moving upwards. But, alas, I shot at a wall a few times, and it shows that the pellets do indeed travel upwards at a very gradual angle. This makes no sense whatsoever. So if you're aiming at someone, make sure you lower the crosshair a bit to compensate for this. Also, the pistol that you can carry around has ammo, but if that is depleted, which it will happen, it will kick into its special backup ammo, which is actually infinite in nature. Basically, you get 15 shots, and when not firing, it'll recharge fairly quickly. Of course, this endless ammo isn't nearly as strong as the finite bullets, but that option is there in case you do run out, which, again, you probably will, if anything, against bosses. Speaking of combat in general, it just feels a bit stiff. Aiming actually seems to be more of a chore, and I felt spraying and praying was the best option to hit enemies. As for melee fighting, you do get access to multiple combos, of which more are unlocked as you play through the game, but honestly, I never really found much use to actually perform these advanced combos. Here's how it works. Right-clicking blocks, by pressing in a direction in space to roll out of the way. Left-clicking attacks, as to be expected. At times, you can click a specific number of times, pause, and then resume clicking to perform a combo. The game tries to tell you when to pause, indicated by that red box that appears. I never understood the actual physics behind it. I pause when the box turns brighter red, but it doesn't really seem to do anything different. Yet a few times, instead of completely stopping my attack, I've tried clicking and holding down the button, and that seems to have worked. I don't know if pause in Russian was just mistranslated, and it should have read, hold down the click, but it seems to be too sporadic to really be true either way. The one combo I did perform somewhat consistently was an extremely powerful one, but even so, I found that the standard moves work best. And you better get good at blocking, because your enemy sword's attacks just seem to do more damage than bullets. It won't take long to see yourself get shredded to death if you don't block. Even with blocking, enemies like to sneak up on you and take out half of your health meter before you're even aware of their presence. You do have a special throw that you can perform to quickly wipe out enemies, especially the close combat guys. When you see action above your health meter, you can press E to perform a throw against your closest opponent. Although this throw doesn't seem to do any damage, you can then run up to the grounded guy and press E again to stab him, which is an immediate kill. You'll be doing this a lot, as it's the most efficient way of killing opponents. Speaking of E, sadly, there are some quick time events which occurred during boss fights. I felt that they were just put in there to have quick time events. Let's take the first boss, the Guardian. It's some hulking beast in the second stage of the game. It took me quite a few attempts to figure out how to kill this fucker. You have to stun it, run up one side of the stairs, flip the switch to open up the furnace key, run up to the boss after stunning it again, press E to start the quote mini game, unquote, of which is just fancy speak for quick time event, perform the shown controls, push the enemy back near the furnace, run up to it, and use your newly acquired vacuum skill to push it away into the furnace, doing actual damage. It's incredibly cryptic, and you'd think with a name like Vacuum, you'd be pulling an enemy towards you, not pushing it away. I'm sure a lot of this is just because the developers were Russian, but still, it is confusing. Speaking of boss battles, the three I engaged in were fairly boring and uninspired. The Guardian boss took me a bit to figure out how to kill it, sure, but it still wasn't exactly difficult to kill, and its attacks were way too predictable. The second boss, a giant worm-like creature, has the extremely challenging task of having you move in circles and shooting at it. Wow. The third is the one I couldn't get past, because I couldn't find a reliable way to damage him. You're fighting against one of the guys at the meeting at the start of the game, and at first he'll clone himself. You'll have to destroy these clones before fighting him again. Yet he blocks all of your attacks and will eventually summon lasers that hurt like hell. Repeat this a few times and you'll give up just like I did. I cannot defeat this guy. I did a small damage once, but considering you have to start over every time you die, and I don't even know what I did, and I just said fuck it, I'm done. I like challenging games, I really do, but this game seems to just go overboard, and this was just on normal. I can't even begin to imagine what higher difficulties would do to my dwindling patience. Now, I know I've been incredibly negative on this game so far, but not all is bad with Collapse. For one, the music is very catchy. It has a heavy techno feel, which normally isn't really my style, but I really can't complain about it, because it fits the mood of the game perfectly. It gets the adrenaline going every time you encounter some enemies, and it makes you want to kick their ass. The graphics aren't too bad either. Sure, we can all make fun of Rodon's dreads, because they just look ridiculously out of place, but at least the physics are believable with them. I guess sort of. In addition, the backpack that Rodon carries has the straps move when he runs or attacks. I actually like this, and was honestly amazed when I first saw it. The enemies also wear the blood they are dealt in battle, so as you're fighting, you're seeing what kind of damage they're taking, which is another cool addition to the game. Speaking of physics, I will say that the corpses and weapons seem awfully floaty. It's kind of entertaining to kill an enemy and watch his corpse flutter around unpredictably. Weapons are the same way, and feel like they're on the surface of a foreign planet or something, because I'm pretty sure Earth's gravity isn't affecting them. You do have a level where you have to escort some guy, another one that you've met at the meeting from the start of the game. At first, I thought he was an incompetent idiot, but it turns out that he was actually holding his share and I was the one holding him back. That's right, me. It just so happens that your sword strikes will hurt him. If you shoot at him, he'll bring up a shield, but if you try to help him out in melee combat, maybe doing more harm than good. Huh. So although I originally wrote down that this escort mission was a huge negative because, well, it's a freaking escort mission and nobody likes them, it turns out that it wasn't as bad as I initially thought. Finally, there are some destructible environments in the game. It's not on the level of, say, Mercenaries or even Red Faction, but you can destroy a good chunk of objects and walls in the game. I've always liked when games let me destroy things to take down enemies. I think that's all I have for Collapse. I can't fault the developers for the lack of the knowledge of the English language, so they do seem to be Russian, and as such, I'm not really going to complain about the story. Although, I did chuckle when I read Bass Tax in the opening level of the game's objective screen. But to recap, the game has uneven difficulty, frustrating but occasionally fun melee battles, strange shotgun pellet physics, and although I never mentioned it, a sporadic checkpoint system. Guess I should have mentioned that at some point. But late is better than never. It's hard to say if I would recommend this or not. It's definitely not a horrible game, but I wouldn't consider it one of greatness either. I guess I'll say it's just okay. And there is a sequel out there called Collapse: The Rage, but it's not on Steam yet. I haven't heard whether that one is better or not, but maybe one day I'll hunt it down and give it a shot. Of course, one day I also have to try completing this game too. Final score? 6 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.